Hey folks, welcome to Macro Crazy, where we're going to talk about uncorrelated investment opportunities driven by the news cycle. Hopefully, it's something that produces value for you. So, what's happening in this channel is top down analysis, hence the macro in the name. And we're looking for hidden opportunities that will help us produce uncorrelated return. I'll give an example. Let's talk about airlines and oil. When oil prices go up, airline stocks go down. Makes sense, right? Basically, oil and oil derivatives are a major input cost for airlines. Since stocks are forward-looking based off of earnings, expectations for earnings would go down if a major input cost goes up. Makes sense. And the way I would look at it is oil prices going up. Yep, the first action, or what I would call tier one, is airline stocks going down. If you're very fast, you'll be able to catch that, but it's tough for retail investors. Tier two, or what I would call tier two, is something that's dependent on airlines that may not be as obvious. It could be a vendor or some partner. That would be a tier two kind of dependency stock. And tier three is generally something that depends on tier two significantly, like I'm talking 40-50% of revenues. And that would be very hidden, not obvious to most people. And I think our focus primarily will be on tier two and tier three stocks, but we will have to discuss and look at tier one. And like I said, if you're fast, you may be able to grab some money there. You might ask, well, why now? Why not 5 years ago? It didn't work on my personal schedule 5 years ago, and there's an even better reason. Basically, because of the massive outperformance of the stock market, courtesy of the Fed, there's likely the rest of this decade to be significant underperformance from historical norms. So maybe we're talking 5% per annum, maybe less. And in order to get returns, you're going to have to do more homework. And that's the purpose of this channel. I'll tell you a little about my background so you don't think I'm just some random guy, even though I am just a random guy on YouTube talking about investments. I have an undergrad in economics. I have a master's in finance, specializing in investments. I worked on Wall Street at some top banks, and I worked at a hedge fund doing research. So hopefully that makes me somewhat credible. I don't claim to be perfect. I'm not your financial advisor. Just so we're clear, anything you do is at your own risk. But just so we're aligned on what exactly this channel is for, where I'm coming from, and what my qualifications are. So the first news that I want to cover is out of Mogadishu, which, if you don't know, is in Somalia. So you may wonder, why the heck would I cover Somalia? What does that have to do with investments, since they haven't had a real functioning government for the whole country in more than 30 years? And I'll explain why it's part of the global picture that's developing. What's going on in Somalia is they've had a government with a president or leader of government. I don't know if he's called prime minister there, but anyway, there was supposed to be an election a couple of months ago. He postponed it, which caused a lot of grumbling from opposition parties because they felt like they were going to win the election. And then now he's postponed it again for 2 years, which is prompting more than grumbling. There's been open fighting in Mogadishu between rival parties, which is a bad harbinger of potentially uglier things in that country. The reason why what's going on in Somalia is important to the world as a whole is simple. It's geography. Somalia is right across from Yemen, and it basically is where the Horn of Africa is, on the far east coast of Africa, and a lot of shipping goes through there. And as we learned from the recent clog up with the Evergreen, or whatever that ship was called, in the Suez Canal, Any shipping issues can cause major backups to the global supply chain. What will that mean for shipping specifically in financial terms? Higher if there's a resumption of piracy, which there was a few years ago, and it was in the news, and with another failed state or a return to war, there could easily be a return to piracy in the waters around Somalia. That would mean higher shipping costs or longer trips, which is also result in higher shipping costs. If you go directly to the canal and risk the piracy, that would be higher insurance costs, or taking the long way would result in higher fuel costs, higher labor costs. So either way, it's a concern and a global impact. So the obvious investment play here is the shipping companies, shipping stocks. Another play would be the insurance companies that are significantly exposed to these shippers, especially ones who rely on the Suez Canal and going by Somalia. And then a third level would be anybody who's a key supplier, key vendor, highly dependent on either one of them. So I would look at all three of those areas, and there might be more opportunities regionally, or Ethiopia's next door. So instability in Somalia could offer opportunities in Ethiopia. What's going on in Somalia is going to be a slow motion tragedy, whether it goes to all-out war or they manage to resolve this and go back to politics is unclear. But this is going to unfold over time. And so investment opportunities may not be immediate, like in most of the cases that we'll discuss. And that's something you need to research and determine on your own. Wrapping up, this channel is Macro Crazy. We're going to discuss top-down analysis and come up with ideas in the end so that we can speculate and profit off the news. I hope you enjoyed video 1. More videos will be on the way over the next couple of weeks. And don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, tell me what you'd like, what areas of the world you'd like me to cover, so we can make it useful for as many people as possible. Thanks for watching, and have a great night.